And we are back again with another video. And I'm not drunk, I'm not drinking, and I don't have an hangover anymore. Yeah, it's going to be very different from yesterday, definitely, where you probably saw me passed out on the same chair and with Adam ranting and rambling while I was like trying to recollect and get back to my senses. But yes, now we are back and we have the biggest topic of, you can say, the decade, because this decade has just started with the terrible year, and it's going to be a topic that will probably blow your mind off. I hope not literally, but let's get into it. Before that, I'll just introduce my panel here. I have three other guests with me who definitely make regular videos with me wherever I go. They are like my three stalkers, even though one of the stalkers was busy in Malaysia for some time and he's back now. And big up to Kevin. And how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Nitesh. I'm good. Especially with this lockdown, it cannot get any worse right now. I've been stuck for the last few months, and the lockdown was one of the main reasons why I entered and was doing the streams with you guys. And now, since I'm back in lockdown again, here I am again. So yeah, I'm stuck, but I'm doing very well, man. Hope you guys are all doing well as well. I know it sucks being in lockdown. The year is gonna end, and we are still stuck in lockdown. So big up everybody in the chat as well. Big up everybody watching in Facebook, in YouTube as well. Yeah.
And so probably I'll request everyone in the chat as well, and anyone who watches this video, tweet out to the Malaysian government that you better stay in lockdown till Kevin is, so that Kevin is always on YouTube and doing videos. But yes, my other two guests as well, with Sankalp. Let's go with Sankalp. Let's go in the clockwise direction. Sankalp, how are you doing? And congratulations on that big victory. I thought you just topped the game week of the league, but apparently you topped the game week of entire India.
Thanks, man. It was a good game week, to have just before the international break. Obviously, I did not expect to do this well. I am just looking out for the goodies that FPL sends. So waiting for that, and great fun.
Yeah, probably you should ask FPL to send you some, maybe that Wenger book. I think but you must have read it, but they can send you probably a hard copy of it.
Yeah. Of course, I finished it already, but the more the merrier.
Yeah. And last but not the least, big up to Daniel in the chat, who just hopped off to his channel as well. So how are you doing, Daniel? And what was the overall thought process with that team that you made? We'll have a chat on that as well.
Yeah, I'm good, Nitesh. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on your channel, so yeah, thanks for having me on. And yeah, listen, we're all in obviously lockdown again. Jesus Christ, it's like we're going in and out of lockdown every single bloody month at the moment. But yeah, thank God for YouTube, thank God for football, and thank God for everything else. Do you know what I mean? Because without those things, without YouTube, football, or anything like that, I think it would just be a boring place. But yeah, listen, here's where we are now. I'm saying that it's a wonderful place because we have football, but it wasn't that great against Aston Villa, was it? So hopefully, that was more depressing than the lockdown. So hopefully we can have a better performance on Sunday, and we can start cheering again rather than watching our team get spread open like a cheap hooker. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, I hope when you said thank God for everything else, I hope you were not talking about the long things that we discussed in the FPL stream. The
That's what she said.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
But yes.
Do you know? Can I just do this right? The best way to, like when I was talking about the game against Aston Villa, the best way to sum up our defense right now is like a hooker's legs wide open with a Brazilian in the center.
I first heard that as the breast way, but I guess maybe I was wrong. But anyways, let's get into the topic, because I think once we get into this topic, a lot of fans will go haywire and they will want to probably tear each other apart, because that is how it is trending on YouTube currently and Twitter. And before that, I'll just say big up to Miss Melina, big up to Justice as well in the chat, big up to Jahid, big up to Jahid. Thank you so much for always supporting. And big up, apart from that, big up to Tai. And Taib is on, and his phone, I hope, is working fine. And
Yeah.
yes, so let's get straight into the topic. And we have seen so many debates happening on this. So what I will do is I will let the man who wanted to have his first say started off, Kevin. Kevin will Kevin will start off the discussion. Kevin, what is your opinion? Arteta out, Arteta in. What is your opinion? Emery, all the things. And one thing I'll just say before that, Sankalp knows that I always defended Emery, but today he might be a bit surprised with what I have to say. But let's start with Kevin.
Okay. To me, Mikel Arteta, from what I've seen, yeah, it was good to see that the team performed last season okay-ish. It was not the most brilliant of performance, but at least there was set up to play the games. We were seeing like our bang average players were playing and getting into like a full stride, at least scoring some goals and all this. So we can see a setup of play, we can see a pattern of play. On the last few games, yeah, it was kind of iffy because we had a few defeats on the bounce and all. But we also had to consider the Leno's injury and then like Martinez coming in and then pulling off miracles until we win the FA Cup. Yeah, the FA Cup, yes, that was a bonus on that year because not even any of us would have thought that we will win the FA Cup. But let's not forget how we got there in the first place also. Because if it wasn't for VAR, we should have been out against Sheffield United itself. Because VAR really saved us on that day. And then, of course, in the very last minute, we scored the goal, and then we went to the semi-final. And then we beat City, and then we beat Chelsea in the final as well. Which, if you were to see Kovacic's red card, also wasn't an obvious red card because I don't think so. That was a red card. So it was. I wouldn't put it down to mere luck that we won the FA Cup, but it was also
Yeah,
it's a habitual thing that we have done it because we have done it countless number of times. But how many times have we seen it? Every time we win the FA Cup, the following season we just drop down again. And then we use the FA Cup victory as every time as a platform to just say, okay, we are now going to make strides moving forward, but we often just stagnate. So that's the thing I'm saying this season also. Because of course it's too early to judge because we are now in the first 8 games or 9 games or so. But from what I see, how can a team that win the FA Cup with the same players and
yeah,
they are just moving downwards instead of upwards? It kind of baffles me because if a team that wins something, they have the winning mentality, which means they have to move upwards instead of downwards.
yeah,
Because we all can see Liverpool won the title. We can see their struggles, but at the same time, they're pulling off results. Same players. I think the only difference over there is maybe Thiago. That's the only difference they have there. And they are now floundered with a lot of injuries right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how they catch up. But coming back to Arsenal, if you see Arsenal's the way of performance from last season, from the back end of last season and the FA Cup, it's been kind of weird. This season we are seeing there's no pattern of play at all. We don't know because apart from the first game against Fulham, there was no pattern of play. There was no pattern of play. We are keep on bragging about that we playing out from the back. We make a string of passes and then score a goal. When was the
yeah,
last time that we saw that type of goals this season? I think we scored about 8 or 9 goals throughout the
yeah,
season. It's kind of awkward because how can a player from last season, just a few months ago, be like that prolific, scoring goals after goals, just be now subdued? He's not even performing. Is it because of the contract? Is it because of this? There's so many things to be counted off, and there's a lot of questionable decisions. Like Mikel Arteta also, he played Ainsley Maitland-Niles in the back end of last season, just
yeah,
before Hector Bellerin was kind of like iffy and all this. Okay, so for the big game, often Maitland-Niles was used, but right now Maitland-Niles is getting more minutes in the England team than the Arsenal team, which is kind of baffling. And coming to Saka as well, also Saka is also not fixed out a proper position right now. I think the last few games he was playing in the left, because to me he's playing more or less like a left midfield right now, because he can't even occupy Aubameyang's place, because Aubameyang is every time used on the left instead of central to accommodate Lacazette in up front. So it's kind of a mess right now, because what I was watching a few clips of how Tierney and Saka would used to bond, and how Martinelli and all this used to, like, they contemplate with each other. But from what I'm seeing, Saka looks like a mess right now, because he's moving everywhere, and even though he's moving everywhere, he's performing. So that's what I see from Saka. Saka is only the bright spot this season. But apart from that, other players, they just seem like running around like they're clueless. They are clueless. They don't know what they're doing. Lacazette is running out of confidence. It's kind of ridiculous to see that Lacazette scored 3 in 3 and then dropped. And then Willian is playing up front all of a sudden, because we didn't see that last season. If we saw that last season, in the back end of last season, we'd be calling for Arteta said last season itself. But right now we are seeing Willian up front, and then we saw uh, and then there was another issue about Ozil left out of the squad. Okay, understandable. But when you see then there was another issue regarding Danny Ceballos and Luis, that some bust up they had in the training or something. So they had about that. So why is this things all happening? Why there's no, yeah, we all can talk about the unity. There's more fight on the training pitch than on the actual pitch, because the players don't seem to, like, they don't know what they're doing. There's no player that comes out and just say to them, like, okay, guys, we are losing this game. Let's go out and show what we are made of. There's no one that grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. It seems like everyone, like, whenever they concede a goal, they just, like, all heads drop down. It's just like the same old Arsenal. Where was the Arsenal that we watched at the back end of last season that won us the trophy? Where is that Arsenal? How can the same players just get from that winning the FA Cup into just falling under the same manager? It's the same players, so how can they just drop like that? So this is what I'm questioning. How can this happen overnight? It's not possible, it's not possible, because you should build on a win. You should not be regressing under a win.
I think Kevin has taken a good 5 minutes to take out his frustrations for all these months. And now he's taken out his frustration on the smallest and the biggest things ever possible, and what is happening with Arsenal from the FA Cup win last season to what he's watching right now. But yes, what I would like to add to that is, but don't you think that the players get the blame? If you saw the first season that Emery took over, he was doing great things with the team. He had that 22-run unbeaten streak. It doesn't matter how you get it, as long as you get it. Does Mourinho produce the best football ever at times? No. But if he keeps winning titles, no one will really give a damn. So Emery did it. And what happened? The next season, the club made a mistake, which I will get to later on. But at the end, everything died down. If they can do it to Emery, why can't they do it to Arteta? Last season, they played well for him. This season, they are doing it to Arteta. Now, what happens is, even though this season hasn't even ended yet, what is the point of sacking him already after 10 games? After 10 games right now, if you remember, a few days ago, it was Southampton on top of the league. Then it was Everton on top of the league. It was at one point Aston Villa, I think, on top of the league. Does that mean the league will end in the same way? Definitely not.
No.
But let's go to Sankalp and what he has to say before I go to Daniel. Sankalp, what is your take overall on Kevin's ideas? But yeah, one thing I'll quickly also do is big up again to Justice, Miss Melina as well, and she's saying,
big up Justice, big up Melina.
She's saying trust the process, but William, and she's just putting those crying. And Taib is saying R2T out. R2T. And big up to Anshumana. And R2T sounds like one of Daniel's wrong gone his translator. One of those words coming out of his translator for Arteta, R2T.
Jesus Christ.
Big up to Jahid. Jahid, hold on. Let me first get the opinions of these guys in, and I can definitely get you in as well. Taib is saying Hector Shitterin.
Big up Taib Pun, yeah.
I think Kevin calls him Zoolander. So yeah, Sankalp, what do you think overall? And do you think Arteta out or Arteta in? Or who was the better manager according to you? Because Arteta has to fight with the top five finish, and obviously, but he has delivered a trophy. Emery finished in the top five. He did not get the top four, but he did not win a trophy. He went to a Europa League final. Arteta got a trophy, but was eliminated, if you remember, Olympiacos. And now, what do you think? So, who overall do you think is doing better things? And I will just say one thing. You remember, I defended Emery all this while. Now,
Yeah, I
some of the
know, I
fan base,
know, I know. You are
some of the
practically the
fan
only
base,
one.
no, some of the fan base has suddenly come out and said we were better with Emery. Now they are saying it because they had some imaginary expectations for Arteta, which is, according to them, not being fulfilled right now. But yes, Sankalp, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I get Kevin's pain. I get it, right, and that is the pain most of us Arsenal fans share, right. What we lack is surely inconsistency and a huge amount of chances from the attack, right. I will not say we are very different from where we were last season, especially ending, because the wins that we remember, the wins that we celebrate, were mostly against the big teams, right? And against the big teams, sitting back and counter helped, right? This season, obviously, we have tried that and failed against Liverpool and City. I will give that, but it's not like every time you try something like countering against a big team like Liverpool and City, you will win it every time. Right? You can get lucky sometimes. You can take all the chances you get, but against City also, I think we had chances both against Liverpool and City. This time we did not take it. Last season we had taken it. So the difference that I see is basically in attack. While we are still not creating any more chances from attack like we are doing last year, the last season end, we are still struggling to create chances. But last season end, we were taking them. We were taking them well. This season, we are not taking them. And second is, we had tried a lot of combinations with Aubameyang towards the end of last season, right? When you talk about Ainsley Maitland-Niles, his run over and Aubameyang cutting in, right? Those couple of 2, 3 things that we saw match after match, right? Now defenses have started, understanding those runs, right? And it's time to do something different that we have not been able to do. What I
And
like,
sorry,
yeah.
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
What I like from Arteta is the defensive improvement. I cannot deny that, irrespective of whether one match we look like shit, which we did last match, we looked very poor defensively as well as attackingly. But overall, I still feel I have less heart attacks when we are playing out from the back. I remember the every days, last 2, 3 months, every time we used to play out from the back, right? You had Socrates, you had Mustafi,
Yeah.
was a pure heart attack every time, right? And now I still feel a sense of calm, even in spite of the fact that we allow strikers to press us. I still know somehow we find a way in. Our players are much more calm, right? But where I see there's a lot of problem, lot of complications is the attack, right? The transition from midfield to attack. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it does not happen. When it happens, our wingers have no clue what to do, right? Even Aubameyang or
Correct.
Willian, they get the ball. Sometimes they get it fast. It's not like every time they get it behind. Last match against Aston Villa, first half, I remember we had plenty of opportunities for both Willian as well as Bellerin. When they had the ball, the defense had not still settled in. All they tried to do is pass it, cross it. They will not try to dribble past the defenders, and that was the difference with Aston Villa. Every time they got it, they tried to get past our defender. Maybe they
Yeah.
failed in the first half, but in the second half they succeeded, right? So these are the things that obviously worries me. Like any other Arsenal fan, I feel a much more secured once we have gotten Party, because the quality is there. You can see. I mean, the United match, the way he was, going past the entire United midfield, and it's not. I mean, while I still look down on United midfield, these are still good players, right? Be it Pogba, be it their
Yeah.
defensive midfield, right? These
Bruno
are
Van de Beek.
strong players, yeah, and we still nullified them very easily by
Because
formation and by,
Solskjaer gifted us that game with respect to
yeah,
tactics.
he played diamond, right? But my point is that tactical intelligence is there in the team. But I read somewhere in athletics, when it comes to forward, Arteta has to know how to let go his players, right? That thing he
Yeah.
cannot continue. And I remember a dialogue from Pep Guardiola during his initial Barcelona years. He told Henry, "My job is to get the ball to you, and then your job is to score." Right? And that
Yeah.
part is, the ball is going to Aubameyang, the ball is going to Willian, the ball is going to Lacazette. But what they are going to do with it, I think that's where Arteta should held back and say, "Okay, you do your thing." right, and see how it works out. That is not happening.
Yeah,
And
that's the difference, yeah, Nitesh. Sorry, yeah,
yeah,
but that's the thing, Nitesh. If Nitesh Sankalp, then that's the thing. If you notice that Saka is the only one being very expressive right now because that's why he's doing it everything freely. That's why he outshines the other players because the other remaining 10 players are practically just listening to the instruction of the manager and just like following it word by word. They are not being expressive. And many people have just called out, many other YouTubers from Arsenal related. Everyone said like Arteta is just putting a handbrake on them. That's why they're not being able to express themselves. Because if players are being able to express themselves, I think you can see the best out of them. Because I think he's sacrificing a lot of the attacks towards the defense. And when that happens, that's why our chances, because people keep on saying that we won against United. But let's not forget, we only had about one shot on target against United, and that was Thomas Partey's 30-yard drive, which was directly down towards De Gea's throat. So that was the only throw. But if that was a Man United, a weak United side, look at comparison now that Man United's weaker side, and we can only have one shot on target, and we scored through a penalty. Whereas Tottenham also faced the same United at Old Trafford, and they beat them 6-1. So we must also put it into context because just imagine what would these players be able to do if they had that freedom of playing. Just imagine how many goals they would have scored because you can't control these players too much. I understand you need defensive stability, but you needed a defensive stability when your defense is totally weak. When you had clowns like David Luiz, Socrates, and when you had all these type of players in the back line, Chambers, Holding, and all these. But now you got Gabriel, you got Tierney over there also. So there is some solid over there. So why do you have to still play in a very safe manner? You got the defense reliability in the sense of Partey over there. You got Gabriel there. You should have at least included Saliba in there. At least you would have trusted your defense much more. At least other players can be much more expressive. So you don't have to have a massive concern on the defense. So you can improve on the midfield and the attack. That's how it should be. But right now, he's still doubting the current crop of defenders that he has, whether it's good enough. That's what kind of baffles me right now. Because if he's using the same players since last season, yes, I get that. But if he's having a difference of one or two players in there, why is he still being so concerned about the defense? It just doesn't make sense. I think the only one part of defense where he must be concerned is probably right back because of Hector Bellerin. I think apart from that, I think the other parts are all safe because Gabriel is good. From what I've seen of him from the last couple of games, he's been commanding. Of course, he's kind of reckless with his challenge and all this, but he's doing the right things as a centre back. He knows how to play the ball from the back. He pings up 20-30 yard balls over to the strikers, to the wingers. So that's good. David Luiz also can be like his guru that teaches him and all this. Yeah, fine. So
David Luiz teaching someone defending. Him that.
That's the last thing I would want to see. Yeah, go on, Nitish.
But I'll quickly go through some of the comments. Melina has a new sister from another mother, Melina Ballerina. And
Tapas Ballerina.
And again, Sam is in the chat as well. Big up, Sam. And Abdul Kadir is saying that I don't know what's wrong with Arsenal management at all. If you stay tuned and he stays tuned on the video, maybe you'll understand and realize a few things that are wrong possibly. And I'm not sloshed like a cheap hooker tonight. I know that. Thank you for telling me and reminding me. And 14 is saying that Arteta good more than Emery. Let's see where this discussion goes. And Sam and Melina exchanging pleasantries. And yes, big up to Abdul Kader as well. Do subscribe to the channel as you seem to be new and hit that like button. But yes, one thing I want to say is that we know these players are a problem. They did it to Emery. They did it to, forget Lumberg. I don't know. The poor guy must have been like, he didn't have a coaching staff and everything. And they're now doing it to Arteta. But before we get into the main problem, let's hear what Daniel has to say so far about this whole situation, because he's been, before he falls asleep listening to all of us going on for almost 25 minutes, I better get him on. So Daniel.
Nice. Listen, I was just listening to all of your points because I can tell that you were saving me till last because what I've got to say is slightly. Listen, you guys have been too too kind. And the only reason I say that, right, is because, listen, when Arteta come in, everybody who watches my channel knows that I am, I back Arteta, and when he was coming in, listen, I was the only one to predict that we'd finish.
I know that. Yeah.
I was the only one that predicted we would finish in the top 4. And when people were calling, when he left Martinelli out the team after getting Player of the Month, I said, listen, it's too early. It's too early to say. But you know what, right? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have to say my opinion of Arteta is rapidly changing, and I'm not Arteta out by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like a pathway, and you've got the Arteta out path, and then you've got the backing Arteta, and I'm slowly edging towards the Arteta out path. And the only reason I say this, right, is because certain things keep happening. Certain things keep happening for me. Yes, it was fantastic that we won the FA Cup. It was absolutely fantastic, taking nothing away from the players, right? Taking absolutely nothing away from the players. It was a great achievement, but we've been here before, guys, haven't we? We've been here before where we won the FA Cup, and it's glossed over a lot of problems at this club. So take away the FA Cup victory, which was fantastic. Then we move on to going into this season, and we start well against Fulham. Listen, to be honest, even my nan could score against Fulham. Do you know what I mean? They're that poor. So you can't really judge. Willie only had a great game, and it was a great result. But then, if I'm being honest, guys, and listen, the performances have not been great at all. I know people will say, "Oh, but we played Man City, we've played Liverpool." Yeah, we have played Man City and we have played Liverpool, and even again against Liverpool, we massively underperformed. For whatever reason, Arteta left out Gabriel. He had a blinding game the game before that, and if he has a blinding game, he should have been starting against Liverpool. He didn't. Man City, he played Willian as a false 9, and it just doesn't work. Now, what I want to say is to all these people saying, "Oh, but we have played Man City, we have played Liverpool." Yes, we also played Aston Villa and Leicester, which have both beaten Man City and Liverpool respectively. Leicester beat Man City at the Etihad, and Aston Villa beat Liverpool at I think it was at Villa Park. So those teams, if those teams can beat Man City and Liverpool, why can't we? Why can't we? And that's just
exactly.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. Another factor for me, and which is very worrying, is that we've not scored from open play since the Sheffield game. Now that
big goal,
that to me is unacceptable for Arsenal Football Club. Absolutely unacceptable. With the talent we have, we've got Aubameyang, we've got Lacazette, we've got Willian, we've got Pepe, we've got Saka. Those guys should be doing a lot better. And another thing, which is really worrying, is that Arteta has overcompensated. He has overcompensated. He's focused on the defensive game, and he's defending. And well, I think we've got something like the second best defensive record in the Premier League this season or something so far. I think it's something like that, Omir. I think we're up there. That's easy when you've got 11 men sitting behind the ball. That's bound to happen. I don't think he's got the transitional right. I don't think he's got. I don't think he has. I think he's overcompensated defensively. I'm not saying, listen, he has done good things, and he can get a tune out of these players. Like I said, we've seen it in the FA Cup. We've seen, absolutely fantastic, absolutely superb against, a top Man City team. I'm not counting the game against Liverpool. The two games that we won against Liverpool, I ain't counting those because one, listen, Liverpool had the title wrapped up, and two, in the Community Shield's just a glorified friendly, so that doesn't count. Anybody saying that, but Arteta's won two trophies? No, Community Shield doesn't count. It doesn't count. Forget it. It's just a glorified friendly. Do you know the thing is, right? Arteta reminds me of a young player. Arteta reminds me of a young player. So, for example, you've got a young player who's got talent, who's got ability, but lacking experience, lacking the know-how as on the pitch. When you see young players, you can see they've got talent, but they're just lacking the experience in certain situations. Exactly the same with Arteta. You can see it. He's got bags of ability as a manager. And we've seen it against Man City. We saw it there. We saw it against Chelsea, more so against Man City than Chelsea. But you could see it. You could see the potential there for him to be a really good coach. But then, lack of experience comes into it. You throw into the fact that he says he's going to play players based on performance, and then you see him do things like, okay, Martinelli's had a good game, a good month, so let's drop him. Pepe's got 2 goals and 2 assists in the game, but he's not getting in over Willian, who's quite frankly been poor this season. You look at situations like that, and you scratch your head thinking, well, hang on, if you say you're going to play players based on their performances, so what? Players have to play crap to get in the team because you're leaving you're leaving players who are performing well out of the team. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense the fact that you're leaving out Saliba. You clearly don't trust some of the defenders you've got, but yet you're still happy to stick with them. And yet there's a young guy who can't get in the team. When you see his defensive partner for St. Etienne getting in the Leicester team and doing so well, you have to scratch your head at that and think, listen, why? Why is he not getting in the team? And again with Pepe, listen, I know that Pepe can be the most frustrating player you could ever see. Again, he's got bags of talent, but doesn't do it consistently. But when you see him doing it in the Europa League, now I know we have to be cautious because the level of opposition that we are playing, but when you see Pepe scoring and getting the assist and Willian doing next to nothing in those games, you scratch your head and think, well, hang on a second, why aren't you giving Pepe a chance? Again, you look at Lacazette, consistently not doing anything in the team, but yet he's still, we're still shoehorning Aubameyang out to the left-hand side to accommodate him, and it's not working. It really isn't. So for me, that's another reason why Arteta's lacking experience. And again, he is like a young manager with no experience. And the thing is, right?
Yeah,
really got the talent. And I've said this, and I am coming round to this way of thinking in regards to Arteta. He would be good for Arsenal. I just don't think that he's good for Arsenal right now with the problems that we have. And let's not sugarcoat it. We've got some fucking big problems, massive problems. We need somebody with experience. Well, these players, right, need somebody who is not going to let them take the piss out, the wholesale piss out of them and on the pitch. Now, listen, I know people say that Arteta's got the mentality, but listen, he doesn't have the experience to manage players like that. Yes, he doesn't have that experience, and I'm just wondering that. Listen, I think he's took this job too soon. I'm not saying that him and Arsenal aren't a good fit, because I think we would be a good fit if he'd got more experience under his belt and we were
Yeah.
in a better position, not just financially, but with players who don't take the wholesale piss. I think maybe Arteta should have took this job when, when we're in the Champions League and we've got money. See, let me tell you something, right? Yeah, let me absolutely tell you this, and this is the way you got to look at it. If Arteta walked in to a Jurgen Klopp side, he would absolutely thrive. Absolutely thrive. If he walked into that Liverpool side, if Jurgen Klopp left the job tomorrow and they brought in Arteta, he would thrive. Absolutely thrive under that, with that group of players. But I just don't think that with the problems we've got at the moment, I'm starting to come to the conclusion that maybe it's not a good fit, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that he proves me wrong, but that's the way I'm kind of thinking right now. That's the way I'm kind of thinking, and all these people, right? Yeah, that say that when you question Arteta, they get all bloody doughy-eyed and you can't say bad against Arteta. You can't say. Listen, like I said, I'm not Arteta out. But you have to question some of his decisions, and some of his decisions have been baffling to say the least. Now, when you look at Unai Emery, when you look at him as a manager, what? I look back on I wasn't Unai Emery's biggest fan. I never wanted the guy in the job in the first place, but I was prepared to give him a chance. You look at Unai Emery; he had a worse group of players and got us to a fifth place finish. Okay, he kind of fucked it up himself because that Crystal Palace game, he should have played it safe. And listen,
Jenkinson, El Neni. Oh my god!
It absolutely baffles me what he done. And then in the Europa League final, we just fully got our pants pulled down and got absolutely royally fucked in that Europa League final. And then sort of towards the end, he kind of lost it a bit. But when you look at Unai Emery, do you know the thing is, right, with Unai Emery, the worst mistake he done was not getting an interpreter, because that's the one thing that Unai Emery lacked with that team was communication. And I genuinely believe that was the biggest problem that Unai Emery had was communicating to the players, and the mistake he made was not getting an interpreter to better communicate with a group of players. And you can see that when you look at if you go back and watch his latter performances, the latter performances under Unai Emery. Now, taking away the emotion of everything at the time, listen, everybody was emotional and they just wanted change and all that. But when you take the emotion out of it and look back at his whole tenure, you can clearly see that the biggest problem he had was communication. And you can see that, and that was transformed onto the pitch. And I genuinely believe that if he had an interpreter, I think it would have helped him greatly with communication. I think he kind of sold himself a bit short there with not getting an interpreter, and people took the wholesale piss out of him, and fair play to him because he tried his best, but it didn't work out. But I genuinely believe that had he had an interpreter, he might have done a little bit better, and he might have communicated what he wanted to do a little bit better.
But I totally disagree with the point about the experience one part, because I'll tell you why. I understand that Arteta does not have the experience overall as a manager, but look at this. Emery did this exact same thing in the second season. Arteta doing the exact same thing in the second season. Can you say Emery did not have experience? No, you can't. Exactly the same thing. Entirely a defensive set.
It's not the same.
It is more or less the same thing. Emery was also putting so many people behind the ball. That is why, but the only difference is Arteta is not conceding as many shots on target as Emery was. But if you see, the philosophy Emery had in the second season was again not to lose games, and that is what cost him his job, because he was trying to not win. He was trying to not lose games. And can you say Emery did not have experience? No, he had all the experience that he needed. But was it good enough for an Arsenal job? Maybe not. But why was Emery here, or why started at Arsenal? Because when the experienced managers want to come to Arsenal, they ask the Arsenal board for money. Can the Arsenal board give them an assurance that we will give you money? The Arsenal board never gives anyone an assurance that we'll be giving you this much money or that much money. That is why Emery was the sixth choice manager that we actually signed. The sixth choice. Not one, not two, not three. He was sixth. And Arteta was there in the top five. Now, if Arteta is also producing similar results and Emery was also producing similar results, it means that the manager does not matter. It is all the squad. At one point of time, they lost respect for Unai Emery because of his English. But if you remember, Hector Bellerin was the so-called translator for the team. And the players need to be playing for Arsenal. It doesn't matter who is the manager. If the player knows that I'm playing for Arsenal Football Club and I want to win, it doesn't matter if it is Unai Emery at the top, if it is Arteta managing them. They didn't even show any respect for Freddie Limburg, who's a club legend. They didn't even bother to show up on or turn up on the pitch when Freddie Limburg was managing them for 3 games. If they had so much respect, if they had so much responsibility, they would be, rather than that, showing up on the pitch when Freddie Limburg, a club legend, fuck Unai Emery, fuck Arteta.
Yeah.
Freddie Limburg is a club legend, and they're not even showing up on the pitch to play for him and for the club.
Yeah.
That clearly shows that
Yeah,
whether, no matter who manages, Josh Kroenke may come down from the stands and say that I am going to manage you. If you don't play, I'm going to sack you on the next day. They may still not play because they don't feel like playing. They have their own mood swings, you can say. They
Yeah.
show up when they want to. That is why, imagine this. They have been able to beat Manchester United at Old Trafford, which we have not done for 20, 30 odd years. But they can't beat a team like Aston Villa, and they get hammered 3-0 the following week. What does that show? That this set
Let's
of players, this team plays according to their mood.
Let's not forget as well that we only beat Man United because we got a penalty. If we hadn't got a penalty, we would have
But
drew
that's
that
a very,
penalty.
that's a very bad excuse because we missed 2 to 3 chances in the first half. Easy chances.
Willian hit the post. Bar.
Willian
The bar.
Saka had a free header, right? So we could have
Yeah.
been 3 up, right? It's a different thing. They kept missing the chances in the first half.
But see,
Yeah, but the new manager bounce whenever we say about the club legend, whenever we say about club legend handling as an interim and all this, because all of us remember when Marco Silva was in charge of Everton, and when Everton sacked him, Duncan Ferguson was part of the interim manager. He was you just can see the bounce over there. The bounce over there. I remember they were beating United. When they were beating United, you can see the bounce. That means it's not down to the players, it's down to the manager. It's down to the manager. Our players, even with a good manager, because most of these players has played under Wenger as well. And most of these players are under Emery and now under Lundberg and now Arteta. 4 different managers can't get a tune out of them.
No, I'll just add one thing to that Duncan Ferguson part. They played for him. And
correct.
that is how they made the difference. But our players did not play even for Freddie. Forget Emery and forget now they're not playing for Arteta. So it is the players who played for Duncan Ferguson and they turned everything around. So that is what I have been saying. Even when Emery was in charge, I'll just come to you, Daniel. Hold on. Even when Emery was in charge, I was saying, if you are blaming the manager, you need to look at the set of players that are playing. And if you get rid of Emery tomorrow, now if another manager comes in, I personally wanted Ancelotti. If tomorrow now Arteta is coming in, now the players are doing exactly the same thing in the second season that he's there at the club. You can say this is actually his first full season, but you can see the second season syndrome that Emery got. So if they are doing the exact same thing, that means it is the players who are fooling us. It is the players who are not serious. How can Aubameyang become from a golden boot winner to a nobody, to an invisible striker in just a few games? How can he stop? He can't even run now. How can he forget how to run with the ball? Those are some of the basics of the footballing game. Forget. I'm not saying that he's not scoring. You can be out of form, but how can he forget how to pass the ball, a 1-2 pass? How can he forget such basic things? It means that he's having his own mood right now going on. I got the 350k a week contract and this is now my mood and this is how I'll play. I want to play for 3 years, so I will play casually. So I will not try to put in a lot of effort so that I may or may not get injured or something like that. Or I am not happy with what is happening at the club with respect to some reason or something, and I will not play. I will not do what I'm expected to do. That is what is the mentality. Yeah, Daniel, go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? I think the players are playing for Arteta. I just think that Arteta is setting us up too defensively and he's not got that balance right between defense and attack. Because you look at it, right? We've got players. You know, you look at Willian was not here last year. He didn't play under Unai Emery, so he's not here. And even you could see it. And I rate Willian. I absolutely rate him. When he was at Chelsea, he done absolutely. He was a decent player. So I rate Willian. Again, I just think that Arteta is setting us up too defensively. And going back to your point, Nitesh, when you said that they down tools for Emery, yeah, they did, because they didn't understand what he wanted them to do. You can't say that they're not understanding what Arteta. Listen, he speaks.
I
I
don't think so.
disagree. I disagree on this. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Arteta speaks better English than I do. Do you know what I mean? And he's Spanish, so you
Can
can't.
Yeah.
You can't
Can-
say that he doesn't. They don't understand it. I think Arteta's setting us up too defensively.
I
There is a
disagree.
reason.
I'll just say one thing. Add one thing to that. If they did not understand what Unai Emery was saying, they wouldn't finish fifth in the league in the first season and make it to the Europa League final. That is a lame excuse that some of the fans are putting out. If they did not understand what he's saying, they would have seriously not done that. How can you say that they have finished in the fifth place in the league, they have gone to the Europa League final, if they're not understanding a single word that the manager is saying? What happened is the media and everyone, the fan base, started making a mockery out of Unai Emery's funny
Yeah, correct.
accent, and that is where they have stopped respecting him and playing for him. Go ahead, Sankalp.
Good evening. Yeah. Good evening. Good evening.
See, one thing I just don't agree with, just saying that we are set up to defensively. Yes, the first 2-3 matches we played, 3-4-3, and we were, defensive, but we were playing bigger opposition. If I look at the match against Leicester City, we were attacking almost entire match. 80 minutes, Leicester did not have a touch in our box. Okay, they just
Yeah.
scored the only chance they created. United first half we were on top of them. Last match, while we were poor defensively, we had 13 shots. They had 15 shots. We have out of 13 shots, we have 2 shots on target. 2 shots out of 15. They had 6 shots on target, on which out of which they scored 3-4 scores. Right. So it's not like we were not attacking. We were attacking. We had the balls. The Willian, Bellerin, Aubameyang, they all had the balls, and they had the ball when the defense did not was not set up. What they did with the ball was nothing, right? So it's not like we are sitting back. Last 3 matches we have been playing with a formation of 4-3-3, especially since Partey has come on. The wingers are getting the ball faster now, but what they are
Okay.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah, go on,
Go ahead.
Sankalp. Yeah, I was coming to that because if you were to say the players, yeah, they even have a few touches, they even take a few shots, yeah, but that comes down also to the lack of confidence. Also, how does lack of confidence occur? Is because you must get game time. Imagine and see if a player scores a goal, he scores a goal, the next minute he's dropped. Of course, and then what we expect is for him to come back and trying to score a goal. But when he comes back, he'll be lack of confidence. He wouldn't be able to score a goal, and then we complain that what's the point? We are playing him. He's not even doing anything at all on the pitch. That's
Best
because he's
example,
lack of confidence. Yeah,
Lacazette.
Pepe,
Lacazette.
Pepe,
Yeah,
Lacazette.
Pepe. Yeah.
I would like to say one thing about Pepe. Okay, I mean, half the matches we criticize him, half the matches we praise him. Let me tell one thing. He played well against Sheffield City, right? It was Sheffield City at home. I will not give him a lot of credit, but he scored a very good goal, right? Next match was Europa. He started Europa. He scored a goal. Anyone who has seen the match, he was, I think, one of the worst performers on the pitch that day. That
Yeah.
same player, when given the start next match after 2 to 3 days, was pathetic. Joe Willock was the best player. Pepe was the best player on by name on that pitch. He did nothing. He kept missing balls. Next match again, Europa. He started again. He scored a wonderful goal. He scored 2 goals, but if you have seen the entire match, he did nothing special.
Nothing.
First, kept losing ball. So I cannot, I do not have as a fan when I see him the entire match playing pathetic opposition in Europa. I don't have the confidence in him. I don't know how Arteta will have confidence in him.
And I will add one point to support Sankalp. Before I come to Daniel, one point I just want to quickly sneak in. The reason he's scoring those goals in the Europa League is because the opposition is a lower level opposition. If it
Exactly.
wasn't, he wouldn't be getting that space or that chances. And what the Arsenal fan base then does is, because the guy scored a goal, we forget what he did in the entire game. We are focused on the brilliant goal. So this is what he
Yeah.
can do. But he's not going to get that chance in the Premier League. It's the Europa League low-level team. That is why he's getting that chance. Yes, Daniel, go ahead.
Let me say this, right? And you
Yeah.
guys know that I have demanded that we see more from Pepe. You guys know on every watch along and every stream that I do on my channel, right? Yeah, that I say, listen, we need to see more from Pepe. But I will say this, right? In Pepe's defense, is he hasn't had a consistent run of games to even hit some form. And yet you look at guys like Lacazette, and Lacazette's, let's not forget, guys, Lacazette's not just underperformed this season. He massively underperformed last season as well. And how he's still consistently getting in the team. And then again, I know he's injured now, but you look at guys like Martinelli. Every time that guy played before he got injured, absolutely fantastic. What's his reward? Sorry, mate, you're on the bench. And a guy who's underperforming like Lacazette is consistently getting in the team.
I will say one more thing with respect to, before we get into the whole debate, and I'll just go into the chats after this. With respect to Martinelli, I remember which game he was dropped for. He was dropped for the Olympiacos game mainly, where he should have definitely started. But in Arteta's defense, I'll just say one thing, that in that game, if you remember, Ozil started. So I think he gave Ozil a chance over Martinelli there, which is a mistake. Obviously, we know it. But if Ozil had actually delivered, maybe he still could have saved his Arsenal career to an extent. And Arteta did give Ozil a chance in that game against Olympiacos. He did not deliver. It could have been a ranked thing as well. Like Ozil is obviously the senior player and the creative kind of player. So he started Ozil in that one game where Martinelli was dropped, which was a mistake. I agree with that. But I think it is more to do with giving a chance to Ozil.
But Martinelli is the one that set up the goal. If you notice, the overhead bicycle kick.
But Nitesh, Arteta was the guy who said, "Oh, I'm going to pick players based on their form," and then you see him drop players because they're in good form. That makes no sense. You have to question that. You have to look at that. You cannot ignore that.
No, I am questioning it, but I'm not saying it is a reason to sack someone because of such a thing. Because managers will do trial and combinations at a lot of times, which we need to accept a lot. And I will get into the.
If a player's playing in good form, a manager's not going to drop him. Do you think Mourinho drops a player who's playing in good form? Doesn't happen. Do you think Carlo Ancelotti drops a player who's playing in good form?
I don't know a single player who's on good form, Daniel, in our team. Yes.
No, he's talking about last season, Martinelli. Martinelli.
No. I'm talking about since Arteta's come in. There is several incidents.
Yeah.
There is several incidents, including this season. Okay, so I think, was it you, Sankalp? You asked me who's in form this season. So you look at Willian, right? He's not performed since the Fulham game. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. He's not performed anywhere near to the capabilities as he did in the Fulham game, and yet we're still persisting with him. Lacazette, right? Yeah, he scored a couple of goals at the start of the season, but then since then it's just been non-existent. How many chances does Lacazette get, and how many chances does Lacazette miss? Because I'll tell you something now, he misses a hell of a lot of chances, and he does get chances. I'll take your point, right? Yeah, that we get chances in front of goal. We do get chances, but Lacazette gets a whole heap of chances and continuously misses them, and they're not just difficult chances as well. These are sitters, absolute sitters, and he just misses them, which is why I personally think that you've got to switch it up. And it's no good. And I've seen a lot of people suggesting, "Oh, stick with these players because they'll eventually come back into form." No, they won't. What does a manager do if the players aren't in form? You don't say, "Oh, don't worry, son, you're in the team because eventually you'll hit form." No, you change it. You put players in. You try something different. You don't stick with the same shit. We expect to change.
Just 30 seconds. I need to quickly go into the chats and then we can continue. Sam is saying Arteta managing Arsenal is like captain of the QE2, having never sailed a boat before. It is a bit strange, and he's blaming it all on my Nottingham Forest shirt. And big up Sam Jaid in the chat as well. And they were saying Sam was saying Daniel is making some good points. Okay, there are a lot of crazy chats going on there. Melina also saying the same. Samuel is saying you're talking shit. Arteta is doing a good job. Let's see. We'll get into the further discussion as well. Sam is saying the manager. It was Samuel Ezekiel.
Yeah.
And I think he's a new guy. Big up to Samuel as well. We all have our opinions.
All I'm gonna say is look at the stats. Stats don't lie. And listen, this is where people get it twisted, right? And this is what really annoys me. Absolutely annoys me with some Arsenal fans is that because I'm questioning Arteta, they think I'm Arteta out. I am not Arteta out. I'm backing him till the end of the season to see where he can take us because I do believe he needs a full season. I'm not Arteta out, but you have to question some of his decisions. You can't, just because you back a manager doesn't mean to say he's not immune to criticism when it's required. You have to criticize a manager. You can't just blindly back a manager just because you back him. Do you know what I mean? Like if he makes wrong decisions, he has to be called out on those decisions.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's not Mikel Arteta. But anyways, I meant God Teta. But anyways, Sam is saying the manager is playing the players out of position and using defensive tactics, not letting the players express themselves. Saka is completely different for England. So it is 90% of the manager. We'll get into that as well. And he's saying Emery didn't know what formation to use or where to use the players. He changed every game, so he lost the dressing room. The players had no confidence in him. And the same could happen with Arteta. And the players are not expressing themselves under Arteta. They don't create many chances. They get the ball and in the final third. And
exactly.
But our play in the final third is very poor and the players are out of position. And big up Taib, big up Sam again. And Jaid is saying, Daniel, just a reminder, you got a stream in half an hour. Is it already time?
Who said that?
Jaid said. And Jaid, Sam, Taib.
Big up Jaid, man.
Talking and Taib is saying G-string Jaid cannot even get us.
Oh, let's not go there, man.
Let's not go there. Anyways, Jaid replying, I can wear away.
Oh,
okay.
shit.
Let's not get into that.
Hey, listen,
And,
I want to see more penetration on the pitch than I do on Babe Station. Do you know what I mean? But it's not happening.
And Sam is saying, why did the chicken cross the road? Because there was a big cock on the other side. But let's get back into the debate. As Jaid reminded us that but your stream is in half an hour? No, I think is it in half an hour? It's an 8 p.m. Yeah, so 25 minutes left then.
So I just want to add one thing.
Yeah.
I understand when we say, right, X is not working, Y is working, Y is not working, Z is working. But I really do not see a player on our bench which, I feel will come out and make a difference. Today, everyone says, hey, Pepe will come and do something, right? Pepe comes and he does nothing. Then people are like, hey, we have William, right? One day, people wanted, us to loan out Rice Nelson and get this guy Zaha, right? Today, they are asking why is Nelson not starting, right? Willock was the most criticized youngster. I have defended him the entire last season, and suddenly today, half of the fan base thinks that Willock is the solution to all of our problems. No one here, I think, in the team, sitting is the ready-made solution for our problems, right? I can understand. Let's change X, let's change Y, but let's not hope that suddenly one player will come and everything will change. I think the reality remains something that Sam touched upon, right? 3 players up front, they are getting the ball in good positions now. What they do among themselves is going to change. And you have 3 good players. Lacazette is not a shit player. Aubameyang is not a shit player. Willian is a good player, right?
And
we can change them. We can bring in Pepe. We can bring in X, Y, Z. But they still need to gel. That is missing.
And I'll add one more thing. Everyone criticizing Lacazette for missing chances, but they don't criticize Saka for missing chances. They don't criticize Aubameyang for missing chances and doing nothing. You need to remember that you need to criticize based on the present. You can't say Aubameyang won the Golden Boot 2 seasons ago, so I am not going to criticize him again. That is not how things work. If Aubameyang is poor today, piss poor today, I am saying he's piss poor today. I am not saying that he was born like this. I am not saying that his teenage days he was like this. I am saying he's poor today. The other thing is fans saying drop Lacazette. Who is the replacement for Lacazette? Eddie Nketiah. Have you seen
Eddie,
how
Arteta's son.
have you seen how pathetic he has been in the Europa League? Has anyone seen?
Let me tell you what
Yeah.
the replacement is. You drop
Aubameyang through the center. Yeah, go ahead.
you drop Lacazette, move Aubameyang through the center, keep Willian on the right, and put Pepe on the left. That's what you do. It's more balanced. More balanced.
And can you tell me, Daniel? Can you tell me? Let me ask you
If
the
it
question.
doesn't-
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if that doesn't work, then you review it. But you've got to. We've given this setup, right?
Yeah.
This setup has had a consistent run of games to see if it works, and it clearly doesn't. So now you've got to try something different. Give that a consistent run of time to see whether that works, because you can't just change it for one game and then change it back. It doesn't work. You've got to give it a consistent set of games for what to see if it works. And it's like the same with players. You know, some of these players have had chance after chance, and yet other players don't have chance after chance. And yet these other players, when they have played, they've played pretty decent. So they need chances as well. If a player can't get in a team and over a player who's underperforming, it's not right. Do you know what I mean? It's really not right.
I just want to add a couple of things to that and then ask you a question. Two things first. First thing, a lot of people say that Arteta doesn't know his starting 11. I disagree. Especially with respect to the three forwards, he has decided that he's going to stick with Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Willian. He knows it. Second thing, people saying that Pepe needs to be into this Arsenal team, into the starting 11. Last season, Pepe was dropped because he was not doing enough in training. Not because he was not playing well on the pitch, but because when Arteta came in, he was not doing well in training. Even Emery, I think, had dropped him for a few games because of the same reason. So if the guy can't impress in training, what the hell will he do in the real game, in the actual match? One more thing with respect to Sankalp's point, he said that Joe Willock was last season being said to be loaned out. But when the fans are seeing this season, in this set of games that has just gone by, that these players are playing worse than Willock is playing, they will obviously say, at least try Willock and get him into the team. If he performs or not, that is a different thing. Now coming to Daniel's point, now you are saying that Aubameyang's natural position, preferred position should be through the center, play him through the center. The guy has won a golden damn boot with playing on the left. So how is that a reason that he is not scoring goals or doing anything because he's on the left? If that was the case, he would never win a golden boot playing there.
Let me answer that question.
Yeah.
And you're right. He has won a golden boot on the left, and that worked. It worked, but it's not working now. It's not working now, is it? Him playing on the left, it's not working. So then you change it. That's the simple thing. Yes, you're right. He has won a golden boot, and he was fantastic, but it's not working now. We don't have creativity in our team from the midfield, so we have to make do. Listen, Arteta made a decision to leave out Ozil, right? And that's fine. Listen, everybody knows that I'm not Ozil's biggest fan. That's fine. But then you have to kind of back that up on the pitch. And at the moment, leaving Ozil out, and he's not really backed it up with he's not, the performances have not backed up that decision. So unfortunately, he is going to get people questioning whether that was the right decision. Now, listen, everybody knows what I think of Ozil and how I feel about him, but you've got to question if you're leaving out top earner, that's fine. Listen, he's the manager; he has every right to do that, and I probably would do the same. But then you have to kind of find a way as a manager to compensate for that until you can get in the player you want and the player of your choosing.
But can I ask you one thing? Can you just repeat one thing that you said about the creativity? You said something about the creativity. Can you just repeat that?
The creativity. I said we lack creativity. We lack creativity.
Yes, and that is exactly why Lacazette is playing there, because he falls deep and he comes into the midfield and he helps in the creativity, and that is why fans may say that he misses chances, he's not scoring goals,
He
but
does.
he plays because he falls deep and he links up with the midfield and he gels in to create more chances. And the spaces that are created for Aubameyang are actually created because of Lacazette's play, and that is the whole problem. You may again say that I am obsessed with Ramsey, but the whole problem of creativity has started when Ramsey was sold, and then Arsenal failed to replace him with the equally capable or a good enough midfield player. Dani Ceballos is not good enough.
No, but you
Sorry,
got
Willock is the only one close to that.
Yeah,
Willock,
you
Joe
could try
Willock is the
Willock.
closest.
You
Emily
could,
Smith Rowe.
you could even try Saka there. You know, you
You
could
can.
even, you could even try Saka
We
there.
have actually tried. We have actually tried. If you see Saka, the last 2, 3, 4 matches, he keeps playing on the central lines only. He plays on the central spaces. In fact, the West Ham match which we won, right? It was Saka who released Ceballos, right, in the same space, right? So he's trying those things, but then Saka is not a creative midfielder. He can only do some kind of things, right? We cannot expect the world out of Saka.
You've got
And
you've
go
got
ahead.
Willock.
Yes,
Obviously,
Willock.
listen, obviously Thomas Partey, you know, he's brought in to defend, but he can carry the ball from midfield to, you know, he can also transition from defense to attack if you use him correctly. Because he's got more to his game than just being a defensive midfielder. He can, you know, obviously he needs more game time. Obviously now he's injured.
I
but
will
he
I
can-
will also add one thing. Just adding one more thing. You know, the thing is that Arteta is expecting Aubameyang to play like an inward forward. The problem right now is that I may be double of Aubameyang's weight, almost double of his weight, but I can run more than that guy is running. He's
And-
running like a fat, lazy bum.
The thing is, right, as well, if you're going to play a Lacazette and Aubameyang together, you need
Yeah.
to change formation. You need to change formation and have them two closer together. You know, maybe like a 4-4-2.
Emery did that. Yep. Emery did that.
Because Emery done that, and Lacazette
Yeah.
got player of the season.
Exactly.
So you need to, if you're going to have Lacazette in the team, and clearly he likes Lacazette, then you need to change the formation to get Lacazette more involved in. You know, he doesn't need to. Lacazette doesn't need to be that deep. He doesn't need to be that deep. You can have other players do that. You can have other players do that. He doesn't need to do that.
That is the problem. That is the problem, Daniel. When Lacazette won Player of the Season and Aubameyang won the Golden Boot that season, there was a player called Aaron Ramsey in midfield who was not just creating goals but scoring them. Now that creative midfielder has gone. And one more thing.
Aaron Ramsey's not here.
Yeah.
Aaron Ramsey's not
No,
here.
no, we haven't replaced him. You haven't replaced him.
Until you can get a player in. And this begs the question, right? Listen, I am not Ozil's biggest fan, but why would you not? It's utter madness, right? Yeah, and obviously they've had their reasons, but it's utter madness leaving him out when you haven't got a creative midfielder, even on the bench. Put him in the bench, right? For God's sake. Listen, I said this on my stream, right? I think it was a couple of days ago, that have him in till the end of the season. You've not lost nothing. You have absolutely not lost nothing, right? Yeah. And then you just cut ties with it. If it works out, you cut ties with him at the end of the season. If it don't work out, what have you lost? Because clearly, there's no
£5 million in player wages, and I don't know how much money China will take back.
Here's the thing, right? You're paying a guy 350 grand a week, and let's not forget right?
No. We are paying him 250, but we pay him 100 extra in case he's on bench, and that's why we have not.
But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, and listen, I can't stand Mesut Ozil. I absolutely can't stand him. But listen, we've got now, which we've never had in the whole of Ozil's playing time, right? We've got a guy by the name of Thomas Partey who, let's not forget, Ozil was asked to do that work rate because we didn't have the type of player with Thomas Partey. I am just curious to see what would happen if Ozil come into that side with Thomas Partey. Listen, he's not the answer. He's not the answer. But you've got in there at the end of the season. You might as well bloody well use him and try and get something out of him until you can get your own player in who is better quality and who fits the system that you want to do. Because we know, like, here's the thing, right? Yeah, we know that majority of this squad is crap and that Arteta doesn't rate them, but yet he's using them because he's got no other option. Why not do that with this creativity issue? Use Ozil because you've got no other option, and if you have got another option, but then what? Then use that. But clearly, at the moment, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing anything of that. That sort.
I'll tell you one thing. Daniel. First is with respect to Laka, playing in the middle. When we are playing 3-4-3, you have two midfielders playing in the midfield, right? And when you have to match the third midfielder, you have no other option but to get Laka in and defend it. There is no other when you're playing 3-4-3. Now that we are playing 4-3-3, last two matches I've seen Laka do it less. So that's a good thing. Second is with respect to Ozil, right? I mean, I was a huge Ozil fan and I love Ozil. I mean, I used to love Ozil till one point, right? But one thing is, first of all, we played Ozil as a number 10 in 4-2-3-1. I do not see Arsenal any different from how Arsenal were last season from an attacking point of view. Last year, we were very good defensively when we started, but attacking, we are still poor. Ozil was playing well, but mostly he was, pressing, he was making those tackles and people were cheering because he never did it before. But attacking point of view, you see the stats, his goals, his assists, his, big chances created, his crosses, everything was decent. It was average. It was not outstanding for us to say, okay, he was the solution. Second is now you have a team which is playing 4-3-3, right? Where do you play Ozil? Unlike Saka, he cannot play from the middle. He cannot run out, down, up. He cannot do that, right? You cannot play him on the wings because you still have better players. I know we have Willian and Pepe, but still they are better wingers than Ozil, right? So where do you play him? And so the question comes down is whether you put him on bench and hope that he creates something. But for that hope, you are going to pay him 100k extra per week, right? And that is what he wants. I don't think that's a solution.
Do you know how I would play Ozil, right? In the 4-3-3, right? So I would have Partey and El Neni, and then I would have Ozil sitting in front of them. So Partey El Neni sort of roaming free, and then just linking up with Ozil because Ozil can listen. We know that Partey can come forward as well, and carry the ball. But I just think Ozil in that free role might be. Listen, I'm not saying he's the answer, right? I'm not saying he's the long-term solution, and I'm not saying I'm not saying at the end of the season don't get rid of him, because I would say absolutely at the end of the season just don't renew his contract. But I'm just saying, listen, what have we got to lose by using him? What have we got to lose? Because we're already losing a shed load of money. Listen, we need to get into the Champions League one way or the other. Listen, anything less than that this season is a failure, in my opinion. We've been out of the Champions League for far too long, and sometimes to get your long-term goals, and we know our long-term goal is to win the Premier League. Sometimes to get your short-term goals, you have to do deals with the devil just to get there. And listen, because at the moment nothing's working. If you're not prepared to put Willock there, which is clearly not playing Willock there, then why not in January try Ozil? If you're not going to get a player in, the way I see it, you've got two options. You go and buy a player that you want. Now I know we're being linked with this Sloppersly guy. Listen, I can't even pronounce that guy's name when I'm sober.
I can't spell it.
Yeah, you either go and buy him, or an OR, or you try and bring back Ozil in, because you can't have this status quo, because the players behind it aren't good enough. They're clearly not good enough.
I will quickly make 4 to 5 points covering all your topics. First, Daniel, the reason Ozil is not playing, one is because, as Sankalp said, the 100k extra. Second thing, in the pandemic, when the lockdown started, he said something about China, and the Chinese started pulling out. They banned the Manchester City Arsenal game, the telecast of that. Then they threatened the Premier League.
With respect, Nitesh, to that China point, it's
Yeah.
bollocks. And I tell you
No.
why. No. I tell you why it's bollocks.
Yeah.
Because he made those comments and he still played for 4 or 5, 6 games after that.
No, he did not. He did not.
Yes, he did. Yes,
No,
he
he
did.
did not.
He made those comments in January. Those comments were made back in January. He stopped playing. When the lockdown, when we started the restart. But up until that game, up until the till the March, they stopped. He was playing. Those comments. He made those comments back in January.
I'll tell you the reason why it is linked is, I am not saying it is the only reason that he's dropped, but I'll tell you why it is linked. Because at that point, when the lockdown pandemic hit, the contract with China had to be renewed. And at that point, they made this criteria that one of your players, and they had removed the Arsenal merchandise because of the same reason from their stores as well. They have done it. I'll repeat it again. They have done it on FIFA, PES, and other play platforms. They have banned Ozil from those games as well. And they have seriously taken this to the Premier League as well. And if you remember, there was some controversy with respect to that, with China possibly pulling out of the Premier League telecast and all that stuff going on. So there were a lot of problems. It was one of the reasons for that was also Ozil's part, where he was talking stuff about China which they did not appreciate. It's a communist government, so they react in that way. But anyways, that was one of the reasons. The other reason, obviously, is his performances. Second thing, you said that now Ozil does not need to put in that work rate because we have Thomas Partey in the team, which is not right. Because if you see, Willian and Aubameyang also are falling back. If you remember the straight line image that was trending, I think it was after the Aston Villa game, Aubameyang is also back there trying to defend. So yes, we may seem like a stronger defensive side right now, but no, our wingers from the formation are also falling back. And that is why you don't see them making too many runs on the wings. Rather, they are not just playing there, they're also trying to cover for the defense. Can Ozil do that? Not in 100 years. Not if he was 10 years old again. He wouldn't be running that way because he never had that work rate in him. He never did. Never at Real Madrid, never at any other club before. He never had that work rate in him. So the thing is that the work rate has not changed that much. It is just that our central defense looks a bit more solid. But you remember the Manchester City game where Mahrez toyed around with Tierney? So that was another exactly. So the thing is that our defense is better, no doubt. It is better than what Emery had. That Krap, Socrates, and Kolasinac, those guys are not there in the team anymore as the first choice. But is it solid enough to keep out teams like Liverpool, City, and all the others, like even Aston Villa? Even though the midfield battle was lost there, but anyways, is it good enough? Not yet.
Again, that's down to Arteta. Because
I'll
tell you why it's down to Arteta. Because you see Kieran Tierney, he's good as a left back. He's not a left side. He's not a left-sided centre back, which is where he's been played. He is a left back. You don't play him in a 3. He's better off in a 4, in a back 4 as a left back, not as a centre back, not as a wing back. His best position is a left back, not this free. He's not there as part of this free of the centre defenders. He is better as a left back, and he's chopping and changing. He should stick with him as a left back because that's what he's good at. He's a left back.
Can I just ask you a question?
Go for it.
Yeah, sorry, I'm lagging probably. Can I just ask you a question to counter that? Why doesn't the same rule then apply to Gabriel?
Because Gabriel's a central defender.
So he's playing on the left, he's playing on the right when he's playing in the back 3. He moves around everywhere. So is that actually an excuse? Because if you see when Mahrez was cutting in, that is what a natural left back will have to deal with. It's not as if he was dealing with something really great. Mahrez toyed around with him all over the park. It wasn't like it was something very unique. He wasn't playing as a left winger or he wasn't playing as a left center fielder. He was playing in a more or less, you can say that he was maybe like 30 yards away, barely 30 yards away from his original position, if you are even saying that as an argument. But more or less his positioning was similar to what it is supposed to be. And can Tierney really make an excuse at a professional level that I wasn't ready or I can't play in this position when Arteta must have already told him that I am going to play here or I am going to play you here? So I think, yes, I understand that what you're trying to say and where you're coming from, that he's not naturally suited to that. But then again, is there an excuse? That is where the hunger again shows. These guys are playing for Arsenal Football Club and not for Cardiff City. Big up, Adam, wherever you are. But these guys are playing for Arsenal Football Club and not for Cardiff City. But these guys don't play like they're playing for Arsenal Football Club. And that is why I keep saying this team is the problem. No matter who manages them, it could be 7 managers, like the entire top 7 of the Premier League. All their managers come together and try to manage this team, and we would still end up losing. We would still end up losing to a team like Aston Villa.
I
That is
don't.
unfortunate.
I'm not saying the team isn't to blame, but the certain players. So you're saying that this team is the problem, but certain players have come into this team who have got absolute bags of quality, and who are just slotting in like they're a piece of crap as well. So that, to me, comes down to part in the manager and what's the manager's asking you to do. The only player, right? The only player who can probably say that they've been consistently good is Gabriel. He's the only player you could probably look at and go, do you know what? You've been consistently good. Listen, Thomas Partey's not had long enough to kind of say that, but because he's only played a few number of games. But yeah, Gabriel is the only player who you could probably look at and say he's having a good season so far, and he's probably been the best of a bad bunch.
Yeah, for some reason I'm lagging a bit, but let me quickly go through the comments. And Daniel, would you want to continue the same thing on your channel as well? Because we are talking about the whole Arsenal formation, setup, everything. So I think we can do a part 2. What is the time? Are you about to start on your channel as well right now, or did you push the video?
I don't even know what time is. For some reason, my give me one
It's
second.
8 p.m. 8 p.m. now.
Oh, is it
It's
now?
correctly 8.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll swap over then. We'll.
Yeah, so let me quickly just get into the comments. We'll take 5 minutes and then we can swap over. Sam is saying, Nithya said, don't talk about the past and talk about the present, and then say Oba can play based on winning the Golden Boot before the season. This season, Oba is hopeless on the left. But the thing I want to say, Sam, is what I was trying to say with respect to criticism. When I'm criticizing a player, I am criticizing that player about the present. I am not going to criticize him with respect to what he has done 10 years ago. I am going to criticize him about the present and how he is playing in the present. If he has a good game, I'll praise him. If he has a bad game, I'll criticize him.
Sorry,
so when a fan criticizes a player,
can I just say as well? If we'll have to swap soon as well, because I forgot.
Facebook, you have the video on Facebook as well.
Yeah. So it will, it will bomb.
You can just put the link again.
Daniel,
on the
you set
chat.
up first. You set up first. You'll come in directly.
Sorry.
Daniel, you just move in first. We'll just come in. Just give us about 2 minutes. We'll be there already.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'll stay till the end. I'm not gonna jump. I'm not gonna jump off. No, I'll wait till the end. I was just saying because Facebook boots it off after 10 minutes. So.
Big up to Simpy. And apart from that, I don't know why I'm lagging. Maybe because my 20 hours of the month are over, so I started lagging now again. And Sam should be in the podcast. Definitely, I wanted him on because the debate would have totally picked up. And going through the comments quickly, I'll just see the relevant ones. Simpy, what you having for your baby dinner?
Sam, if you're free, you could jump on to part 2.
Oh,
yep,
man.
and I think Sam is doing a stream he was talking about. And Sam quickly saying that he's Smith Rowe is not injured now. He played for the under-23, so I want to see him in the next game in the Europa League. And Sam is saying Ozil is not our future. Use Willock or Smith Rowe or Saka. Why use what we already want out? He is gone at the end of the season. We will continue this discussion. And Sam was talking about getting Goretzka. Do you think Bayern will let go of Goretzka because of his versatile play? And Chadwick is saying, let's be honest, since 2014, the Arsenal as a whole has lost the cutthroat mentality and the players' mentality is a joke. Exactly. Screw the manager. The players need to be taking responsibility. They never seem to do that. And now what I'll do is I'll quickly give a shout out to everyone, because we will continue, and then they can give a shout out to their platform at the end of Daniel's stream. So big up to Kevin, Daniel, and Sankalp for being on the stream. And guys, we are now switching to the blind gooner after this for the part 2. Hopefully you guys are there as well, so that, because we will be going all guns blazing and crazy. I'm speaking so fast that I'm literally spit is coming out of my mouth. Anyways, big up to all you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much, and have a great evening, and jump on to the blind now. Bye guys.